essentially you have the media really only covering Donald Trump still, and we could get into Trump. Definitely, definitely worth covering January 6th and all that, but not really out there showing this Gilded Age. So, you're from Cleveland, and you guys have been really servers in the food, hospitality industry, and you lost work in May, and basically have been unemployed since May, but just found something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, exactly. We lost our jobs out of the blue. Place kind of just shut down, and half the time we've been unemployed since May.
Yeah.
We didn't get unemployment until like maybe halfway through
June, right?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
So it's been really hard. We just recently got our EBT card after applying in May. We got it.
EBT is
Food stamps.
Okay.
Just the whole process with that, just like between like, so we lost jobs at the beginning of May, and then if we don't get unemployment, like just because of the whole process of it, we didn't receive it until like halfway through June. And it just like makes things really hard to pay for things like rent, utilities, and just like living when we lost our jobs out of the blue, like not even our fault, and then we get brought down the hardest on us because like it just takes time to like get help to us.
And what was the reason you lost your jobs? Where were you working?
The owner's finances. Like he just said, like it wasn't worth it for him to run the business anymore.
Yeah, we were working at Cleveland Coffee Company here in Cleveland. It's a big coffee roaster, but the kiosk that we worked in itself was very small.
Yeah.
Very underfunded.
So like, he just like shut down operations one day, literally on like a random Wednesday. He just like texted us like, "Hey, like I'm shutting down operations. Sorry." And he was supposed to give us like a little boost of pay because Nia and I were like senior, like we were basically managers, and he was supposed to give us like a little like extra pay for like all the hard work we put in and like for putting us in the situation. And he gave me $40 extra in my paycheck.
$40 severance. Look at that.
Yes. So yeah, that happened, and it's been really hard like financially since then. But thankfully, we like found jobs like very recently. But even then, like we haven't even gotten paid from them yet. So it's just been tough.
And the restaurant industry as a server in general is just it's a very like crappy because like we get paid like $5 an hour.
Yeah.
It's a new place too, so people don't really know about it. So we're probably getting paid like $8 an hour, and it's like just the two of us, and we have like this apartment together in Cleveland Heights.
Yeah.
You know, I was just in Philadelphia, and was it Philly or Altoona? One of them. It was $2.15. They get at a bar or restaurant. Not that $5 is acceptable.
Just I'm honestly kind of just not even surprised because service industry workers we don't take into account how much we truly make off of tips month to month and everything, especially when things like COVID or just like people if people don't want to go out, it's just kind of tough, and we feel like the tipped employees are like the first to get like the boot.
Yeah, exactly. Like when like hard times come on to like the working class in general, like of course like those are like those who patronize like our restaurants, our bars, like that's who's paying our rent, like other working class people, because like the restaurant we work at is only paying us like $4 an hour, right? So it's like no sweat off their back. So like if people are struggling, like rightfully so because of everything going on like right now, then of course they're not gonna be tipping like 20% to us when like the price for their tab is only like $20 anyways. So it's like we put all a bunch of work in, and it's just like just every step of the way we're just like getting like the short end of the stick.
And basically you have this coffee house / kiosk, whatever his situation was, maybe he's been hit hard by inflation. So I think that's kind of a lot of people kind of think of maybe like more professional jobs. Like, all right, if you get laid off,
Yeah.
at least you'll get like a month or so. If you're lucky, severance.
Yeah.
You guys got like, hey, don't come to work today. Here's an extra $40.
Yeah, exactly.
And that
Yeah.
happens a lot, and it could be happening close to like the due date for rent or other things.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
it's like to be able to turn around and find a job that fast, especially like, I feel like we're both to the point where it's like, well, I'm not gonna just take a job just to make money. You know, like we want to like have like make sure we have good working conditions, like be treated well by our management,
Yeah.
and just like be somewhere where we feel happy instead of being somewhere just to like put food on the table. Even though that's important, but like
Yeah.
And in the food restaurant industry, what percentage of time have you been treated well by your managers? Since you guys have said that's been your most prevalent experience.
Yeah.
Probably like 5% of the time, like not
Yeah.
all.
Oh, I was thinking a little lower, but 5.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a low ball percentage, no matter what
It's
it
a
is.
very like maybe they let me have off a day where I should have already had off,
Yeah.
and that's as much.
I literally had my manager text me 5 minutes before you guys came here, being like, "Please come in. We're like slammed right now." And it's like, I'm busy.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Tell him you're talking to Status Coup, he could wait.
yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So you guys lost your jobs in May. It's now almost the end of July.
Yeah,
What have you been doing to kind of stay afloat? Because
yeah,
you got rent and other bills.
yeah,
Yeah, we got a lot of help from our parents,
yeah.
honestly.
Thankfully, yeah,
Because, like, I mean, like, the reality, it's like, what can we do? It's like we looked for jobs,
yeah,
and, like, this was the best thing we could find, condition-wise.
yeah,
And it's still just, like, okay with, like, how pricey everything is. We still,
Yeah.
luckily, we still have, like, our food stamp card and everything for, like, the years. So.
that's been a big help since I've
That's-
gotten it, but like it
Yeah.
just took like a month and a half to get it in the first place. But yeah, like what Nia was saying, like just like unemployment checks finally coming in helped, and then like both of our parents like helped out with like our car payments and stuff like that. But besides that, just like trying to like just make money like any way that we can.
We recently actually just went down to one car because
Yeah.
we were like, I mean, we need to get like rid of something here
Yeah.
just because it would just be easier.
Yeah.
And can you kind of talk about the rent? Because didn't your landlord jack up your rent?
Yeah.
Can you kind of talk about, obviously your job, you have car payments that your parents were helping out. What were your other expenses that it was kind of very tight?
Sorry, can you say that one more time?
What were some of the other expenses that were pretty tight?
Honestly, yeah, just like between like rent and then like utilities too, because of like gas going up. Also meant like we have a gas heat. So because we have gas heat, like it's been nice, thankfully, because it's like summer. But like those prices have gone up, as well as like we have a gas stove and like gas oven, so that like goes towards it as well. And then like the price of our electric like has gone up a lot, like just like per wattage or however they like measure that. Those things, and then like we just said, like our car payments too. Just like all that combined together, and then obviously like with like food going up as well, like going to the grocery store, especially before we got our EBT card, was just getting more and more expensive every time we went. Even at like cheap places like Aldi or like local places that are cheap like Mark's, like still prices are going up, and that's just like we don't have a job to like pay for it.
Yeah.
And we didn't have the EBT card until, so just like a lot of like penny pinching and just like making our dollars like stretch as much as we can.
You guys are kind of lefties, the Nina Turner sign
Yeah.
that fell.
Yeah.
So, how does it make you feel? Because you're basically looking at these high prices at the grocery store, the gas pump,
Yeah.
and all these companies are making, well, not all, but most of them are making record profits. So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
kind of BS
Yeah.
that like, oh no, we're just passing extra cost onto you.
Yeah.
It's all just greed.
Yeah.
No, it's disgusting. And now that he's gone, I also wanted to add that we got like more fees added onto us living in Cleveland Heights.
Yeah.
We just got new trash cans. And like, of course, like us just being run-throughs here, we're like, oh cool, we have new trash cans. our landlord put that fee onto us. So now we have to pay like an extra like $50 a month.
Yeah.
Just because the city got new trash cans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And of course it's like it's always that underclass where it's like we always will have to bear that burden as renters. If anything happens,
it's like
it privatizes another industry, which goes back into capitalism and like how great that is.
Yeah. It's just like sorry, I was like scared to talk about it.
Isn't that great symbolism of the capitalist corporate vulture that we're doing an interview and want to get into the landlord, but like the landlord's like hovering over literally by the door.
Yeah,
Dude,
Yeah,
he's been nice, but he is very stingy. Like he's like sorry, I just need to talk about this. He just
just so you get it.
Yeah.
We were about to get to the rent and everything else, but the landlord was like listening, so they had to be careful. Go ahead.
Yes. He is always like very like civil and nice between us, but he, at every chance he gets, if there's any friction like between us about anything, he always brings up the fact that like, hey, I'm landlord and you're my tenant, and like this is like a legal thing. Even if it's over like very basic things, like just me just being like, hey man, like this happened to the house, like even it was like underneath our watch because like we live here, and like I'd be like, as a landlord, like I could charge you for this basically, but I'm not going to. And it's like, okay, thanks.
Cool.
Yeah. It's just like it just sucks to feel like in our own home, like someone, like we have a very nice home, I'll be honest. Having someone like be very like feels like it was like watching over us and like judging like how we have things set up because he owns this even though we live here.
Right.
Exactly.
And did he try to jack up rent at all?
Yeah.
He did it the week our lease was up. So he, the week our lease was going to be up, he emailed me and said like, hey, I'm going to raise the rent $50. Basically would love to have you guys stay here. And it's like, it sounds nice in the email, but obviously, like, what choice do we have? Like, I can't find another place to live in a week and, like, move.
This was in May as well, right when we lost our jobs.
Right when we lost our jobs. So we also didn't have jobs. So, of course, we were like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I guess we'll stay. Like,
did he give a reason? Is he making improvements?
He literally told me it was because of inflation in the email.
Yeah.
And that was, like, the reason he gave us.
Yeah.
Right. So basically, I mean, people watching might be like, all right, $50, not bad, but if you're unemployed or you've got, even if you're employed and have the gas, the food, the electricity, all your other things going up, $50 might actually be more burdensome.
No, every dollar means a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more than just $50 too. Like Nia was saying earlier, it's like throughout our time here, like our little like hidden fees have been slowly going up. Like I swear, like our sewer charges have been going up every month, and then as well with the trash thing. Now we have like an extra like $50 a month just to have these like little green Cleveland Heights official trash cans, and I feel like if I'm not a homeowner in this area, so I don't know, but I feel like maybe that goes on to the homeowners, and I feel like he's just like offloading it like onto us.
So let me tell you a little Capitalism, a Love Story, borrowing from Michael Moore's great documentary. You were mentioning these hidden costs.
Yeah.
Most people aren't aware. If you look up your city and the bond deals that they're doing, i.e. The city is borrowing money for various projects, they're passing off those costs to you, the working class taxpayers, without telling you. So when you're seeing water rates going up, sewer rates going up, special little stickers they're putting on the garbage cans or whatever you were talking about, that's probably a backdoor way to help pay for the bond payments for whatever projects that Cleveland is borrowing money for. That's what happened in Flint.
We just
and Detroit.
Most recently, on the most recent ballot, there was a issue on the Cleveland Heights ballot to like put up this new like 1+4 like retail plus like luxury like apartments like right down the street from us, and it was like a $5 billion something like crazy project deal. You saying that just made me think about that.
Yeah, not all, but most of these projects are funded by bonds, so the city, issuing, borrowing money basically, and they'll pay it back with interest. And most cities are broke, so they are backdoors. So when you see all these hidden costs, you should ask them where's this money actually going to?
Yeah.
Because they also do a lot of tricky things where they move funds from different, the sewer fund or this fund or that fund into the general fund, so that it looks like they're balancing their budget and things like that.
I see.
But they're basically robbing Peter to pay Paul by bankrupting other. They did this in Detroit. They did this in Flint for many years with the water fund, because the water fund was actually the only one that was solvent and not underwater. No pun. But that made me think of that, because it's boring, and when people hear the word bonds, their eyes glaze over and they don't get it. But that is one of the biggest drivers of basically redistributing the costs to working people.
That makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Because it's like we do not have any choice to have like these trash cans. Like they never gave us the choice. Like it just happened, and now we're paying for it.
Right.
And it's like
how?
It's nice, like it's a nice service, but not for $50 extra a month. Nice service. I rather like what we did before, where it was just like we had our own trash cans and just like put it out there, and it's just like they picked it up.
So really, what you're talking about, your rent's going up $50. Now you got, what is it? Trash cans with medallions on it.
Right over there. If you want to look at them.
We'll get B-roll. A $50 trash can, so that's really $100.
Yeah.
And then whatever other costs are going up.
Yeah.
That's a lot if you're unemployed, which you guys have been.
Yeah.
Or technically employed, but not
not
a ton of money.
Enough.
It's gone up by about like $200 of like all those things put together. Like thinking about it.
And this new job you got, I assume you're not getting paid $1 billion a week. So.
No, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say things are really tough.
Yeah.
Like really hard. I feel like we're young, and we've been together for like a pretty long time, even though we are young, but it made us like grow up like even faster than I thought we would have to.
Yeah.
And become closer together that way.
So I'm assuming like 20s or something.
Yeah.
All of this could possibly be a contributor to President Biden's approval rating among young people being slightly higher than lice. What are your thoughts? Obviously, you're progressive, supported Nina Turner here in Cleveland, but it's really striking to me when I go on the road, just the alternative reality from what you hear from the Democrats, the Republicans when they're in power. They cite like, unemployment's low and GDP numbers good and the stock market's good, but you go around even before inflation, and it feels to me like a bit of an economic Hunger Games. Like people are just fighting and scrapping for whatever crumbs are left, while they're saying, Biden's talking point has been, this is a historic economic recovery.
Yeah.
Sure. Sure it has been.
It's like, cool, unemployment's low, and like, cool, like, the people on top are making money. That's all cool, but again, like, the reality of it is for like us and like a ton of other young people our age that are workers here in Cleveland is like things have been really hard, especially like if you're not like in one of the like booming sectors of Cleveland or of like Ohio, because Ohio's been like focusing on like you can go to finances or you can go to like tech, like they've been investing in tech recently, and it's like if you're not in those, it's just like left to the wolves, just like and it's like we're doing jobs that are like essential to society, like food is a building block of life. Like everyone needs to eat, and like we are like at the bottom of the totem pole, like economically. And it's not like both of us are college educated. Like both of us have bachelor degrees. It's just like when it comes to finding jobs here in Cleveland, that basically we can work in the food industry, and like even though things are tough, we can have more flexible schedules, and we're making basically just as much if we were working like within our degrees here in Cleveland. So it's just like it's just the best option for us right now.
And like when people say like, oh yeah, the unemployment's low, well, look, we have jobs, but to survive, you literally will have to work like 60 hours a week.
Yeah.
Like most of the people I know are working like upwards like 50, 60 hours just to like have a lifestyle that we were told was going to be achievable with just like a full-time 40-hour-a-week job.
Yeah.
And I honestly also think 40 hours is like a lot of time too, just in general.
Yeah, I agree.
And, you know, you guys working in the restaurant industry, there's also the element of COVID, because we're seeing more and more managers, like you're saying, like, oh, I don't feel well, I'm going to take a COVID test, or I have COVID, and they're like, get your ass in here.
Exactly.
Which obviously continues to spread. I know some people say it's over and no big deal. I don't know. I think getting reinfected 3 times a year with a virus that who the hell knows the long-term effects, not a good thing.
Yeah.
We actually, funny you bring that up, because we, in between all of this, we got a job for like a week. We worked at a coffee shop here, and I got sick like the week we were supposed to start, and I missed like 3 days of my training shifts because I was sick, and I got fired.
Like really sick, like she was bedridden.
Yeah, I went
Super
to the hospital a few times and everything. Like, and again, it's like COVID's been like up and down. It's like I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Our hospitals, we have the best in the country in Cleveland, but they're extremely overran, and I got super sick for a week, and I got fired.
Even though you told them.
I gave them doctor's notes.
She had doctor's notes from the emergency room being like, hey, like, she's sick. Like, she's, like, should not be at work. She shouldn't, like, be on her feet at all. And, like, we're on our feet because, like, that's the nature of the job.
Yeah.
And they fired you just...
Because they said it wasn't going to work out between us.
Basically saying, like, she wouldn't be a fit for, like, the culture is, like, kind of, like, the excuse they give.
Yeah.
And there's really no laws to protect against that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
especially in
exactly.
Ohio's an at-will state.
Exactly.
So it's just, like, they can just fire us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, it's funny. We've been unemployed, reemployed, and then he left too that week because we both got a job there and everything.
Yeah.
Solidarity.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm not gonna like work for a place that's gonna like fire someone. It doesn't matter if like this is my partner or not. It's like if they're gonna fire someone for like being in the like debilitatingly sick, and miss a few days, and then it's crazy because she got sick. We come in, start training. They're like, you guys are doing great. Like, you guys are like awesome. Like, we're really excited to have you. And then she like we had another scare, so we had to go back to the hospital. And they were like, okay, don't go to work the next. She got another doctor that was being like, don't come to work the next day. And when she called off, they just fired her.
Well, there's also multiple elements that I don't know if it was COVID or not, but number one, if it was.
No, it was just like an infection I had.
Yeah.
Because number one, new research is coming out that people with long COVID, you're more prone to get long COVID. That when you have COVID, you don't really rest, and you know, basically just rest, hydrate, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that couldn't contribute to having the longer term COVID. So if you're forced to come into work and you know all this stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like the thing is like me taking off, they don't even know if I had COVID or not. It was just kind of like, I mean, she's sick, and again with like our hospital, it was like they tested me for it, but it's like my mom had COVID and everything, and like I had like some symptoms that they were like, oh, you're good, but I just feel like the whole COVID thing is like up in the air. We don't even
The
like.
hospital said you were good?
Yeah, they said I was good, but I had like the symptoms.
They didn't test you?
They did. They didn't say anything about the test results.
They didn't tell her the test results.
UH Hospital is our hospital healthcare right now is like pretty disastrous, especially in Cleveland.
Well, I get a vibe with COVID, and obviously it's become a political issue. People know my stance. You know, I'm pro-vaccine, and go fuck yourself if you have a problem with it. But I think it's really become very similar to the Flint water crisis, which I've covered a lot, because at a certain point, there is a decision made by very powerful people behind closed doors.
Yeah.
The narrative is it's over.
Yeah.
The narrative is, you know, this is just part of life now, and we got to
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah.
And there's ramifications for people in Flint who are still drinking bad water,
Yeah.
but for people, you know, maybe it's mild for one person and a disaster for another person.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Not to mention the economic ramifications, because
Yeah,
a lot of
exactly.
people in your situation, maybe it was COVID, maybe it wasn't, but people are getting fired or being told. I mean, I'm seeing like McDonald's workers, I have COVID, they told me come in or you're fired.
Yeah, and it's like, you want COVID in your burgers?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Let me ask you too, you know, not trying to get personal, but
Yeah.
if you've been together for a while, I assume this situation kind of puts the stop sign on trying to have a family or the future.
Oh,
No,
oh
there's-
my God.
yeah.
Having a family or having a kid right now seems like it.
Impossible.
No, I just
Yeah.
can't imagine it happening.
Yeah.
Not in my lifetime getting pregnant or anything. Like, especially with like Roe and everything, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Right, because you're in Ohio and they just had the
Yeah.
10-year-old
Yeah.
rape victim who had to go to Indiana, which is just
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrible.
And like again with like the healthcare, how they treat black people and black women, it's different. We are seen as like a lot stronger, as if we can take a lot more pain, and it's just not true, obviously. And I've had probably the worst experiences at hospitals and everything, like getting like overprescribed, like doped up and everything, and just like being sent home. And I can imagine being pregnant in this state and
Yeah.
going to the hospital. I can't imagine how they would treat
Yeah.
me or anyone who looks like me.
Ohio's particularly really. I don't have like numbers on like top of my head, but I think I remember seeing like Ohio is like just particularly extremely bad when it comes to like black women like health outcomes, with like especially with pregnancy. I think I even saw like on the news about like 3 times more likely to die, like black women are 3 times more likely to die during a pregnancy in Ohio than like a white woman or like
Right.
or even like Hispanic, like any other minority or race.
Yeah.
And it's just like between like the economic factors of like having a child and then like just like bringing a kid into like our ever-changing worlds that's like with climate change and everything as well,
Yeah.
and like not to get all doom and gloom, just like things getting worse overall in like the political landscape, it's just hard to justify right now, especially at our age.
Yeah.
And then on top of that all, just like the risk to like her health and safety and like the health and safety of just like our family unit.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of important because, you know, I remember a few years ago I interviewed some some burger fast food place in Portland,
Yeah.
and I said to the worker, if imagine we're in a utopia, there's no corruption and everybody's making a decent living, you know, what's your dream if you could work whatever job you want?
Yeah.
And his answer to me is like, never even thought about it. I've never had the opportunity to dream.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of the story of a lot of younger people right now.
Yeah.
That they haven't even had the opportunity to fantasize about what they would want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, obviously, like we like still like have our hobbies and like stuff we enjoy doing. It's just like, yeah, like you said, like there's no like, it's hard to dream big when it comes to like family stuff, when it's like the reality of things is like you're bringing another like human being into the world, right? And like if you can't put food in their mouths or like make sure they have good stable living, and to have that in America, you need to have a good stable job, which is becoming increasingly more rare, especially for young people. Like it's more worth it for us to like bounce around company to company to like keep getting salary jumps, and like what kind of life is that for like a child, right?
Yeah.
You know, like if we had to be constantly moving,
And let alone us too. It's
Yeah.
like I feel like I'm constantly changing jobs where I can't focus on doing any of my hobbies or anything I want to do at all, because it's like I constantly I'm stressed about like, oh, I have to make sure we have enough money, and make sure like I can get gas in the car, I have food and
Survival
everything.
mode.
Yeah, you're just constantly in survivor mode where it's like can't think about doing anything else.
Right. Which also contributes, I mean, we've got a real mental health problem in this country.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So there's a very thin line between economic stress and depression, anxiety,
Exactly.
worse.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you also, I've been covering politics enough. It's kind of like this just same record spinning. You got Democrats, they'll put the pride flag up.
Yeah.
They'll put the pride flag up. They'll put the Black Lives Matter, signs up.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade is important. It should be a priority. But they've kind of gotten a little a rescue pass where they don't have to run on anything other than social issues.
Yep.
And you could say, hey, yeah, during a pandemic, we didn't expand your health care, but you don't want the Republicans to retake the House, do you?
Mm-hmm.
We could go down the list, but basically they've just been gifted that they could only run on social issues. But Biden could do more on inflation. We give $15 billion a year in federal subsidies to the fossil fuckers. JFK, during when steel companies were price fixing, he basically held a press conference, called them out, and then said, I'm pulling submarine contracts from you. And I'm giving it to the steel companies that aren't increasing their prices. And what do you know? Those steel companies folded like cheap tents. Biden could have said, hey, that $15 billion we give you, we're pulling that by the end of the week if you don't lower gas prices significantly.
Yep.
Then you have, most of them don't pay taxes, so we're going to have a special IRS enforced. I could go down the list.
Yeah.
But for you, do you vote?
Yeah.
Do you want to vote?
Yeah.
I, as a woman, I assume it's very difficult because these people are actually corrupt and going against you.
Yes. I feel like we don't have a president right now. Maybe it's just been me just growing up and becoming an adult in this landscape, but I feel so alone, just in general, rights wise, everything, it's just anything goes right now. And again, we're in Ohio, so the whole gun thing too is it's terrifying. They're building a new prison, the cops here are getting a raise, and our leaders are just nowhere to be found except for asking for money in our emails.
Yeah, or giving Israeli poems on the steps of the Capitol.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's such a bizarre feeling. It feels like shouldn't be a real world.
Yeah,
and we are actually living in a hellscape, day to day.
Yeah, it's I agree. I literally. It feels I swear they wanted Roe to be overturned, Democrats, because it does give them something to run on when it comes to the midterms and also coming into 2024. It gives them just a more excuse to get more money for donators. It feels like they want it to happen so that they can just continue to do nothing and just be we'll do this one thing finally, even though they've been they've had the chance to codify Roe for so many other different opportunities throughout Congress and just throughout our politics that they could have codified Roe, but they didn't. They would have done it if they cared about it. Same with so many other issues. If they actually spoke with their chest and actually did the things that they said they were gonna do, I think people would like Democrats more, but they don't. They don't do anything.
My theory, which I think is pretty much fact, is their donors say, yeah, you could fight for Roe, that's cool. We give you permission.
Yeah.
Their donors say, yeah, you could fight for LGBTQ rights, that's fine. None of that actually affects us.
Yeah.
But if you want paid sick leave, no.
Yeah.
If you want the climate emergency that's going to affect Wall Street's portfolio of fossil fuel investments, no. So I think a lot of it, that this isn't a gimmick, although it is on sale at statuscoup.com/store. Get your United Corporations of America shirt. But I think they go only up to the line that their donors will allow them to do, because another thing Biden could have done, he could have done it a year ago. Mr. Manchin, we're pulling you from the chairmanship of the Senate Energy Committee.
Yep.
His daughter arguably committed crimes as the head of a pharmaceutical company, jacking up EpiPen prices. There is a Department of Justice. I could go on.
Yeah.
So, but it's really illuminating when you say you feel like you don't have a president.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I feel like it's a very big like feeling among like the younger generation, like our generation. Like we're like early 20s. It's like a ever since like doom, you know, because it's like again, it's like our lives are put on hold.
Yeah.
Because like everyone that I talk about, they're like, oh, I'm waiting for like things to just go back to normal, and it's like that will actually never happen once you realize the world just runs on money. And that's it. And if you don't have it, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Like, royally screwed.
Well, when they tell you that, you might want to walk around with the chart that shows the red line of income inequality.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
classic graph.
That's the normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally.
And it's going to continue to get worse because wealth can only increase. Like, that's all we're looking for is profit. And we're literally killing the planet to get there. And it's terrifying. And it's like, yeah, as a young person, it's like, I mean, I guess, like, screw a job.
Right.
Like, why even, like, do any of this anymore, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Let me ask you, before we end, a little local Cleveland question. I covered both of Nina Turner's campaigns. I know you guys were involved in supporting her. You know, if you listened online, there was people ranting, oh, she lost because she didn't run, like, on burn down the Democratic Party, and she didn't run, like, scorched earth enough against Biden and the Democrats. I think a lot of that, to me, didn't make sense, because, I don't know, I was here, and for better or worse, it seems like it's a pro-Democrat town.
Oh, yeah.
It's a pro-Biden town.
It is very pro.
Chantel Brown put a lot of money in here. She was able to get a lot of money from Democrats to put in Cleveland, where it was kind of like the race was like non-existent and everything. The only people that knew about Nina Turner at a certain point were like me and like my leftist friends, you know, because like there's Chantel billboards like everywhere and everything. It felt like that was like the only option, like if you're looking on the outside in.
I think that's important, because a lot of people think like the first time, well, Nina outraised Chantel Brown, this and that. Overall, she did. But the problem is when you're raising money grassroots and you spend that kind of bit by bit over a campaign, but then the other candidate gets like $3 million in 2 weeks at the end, most people in my experience either don't know there's an election coming up or don't even start paying attention until the week of. So what they're seeing, because we're talking about people working multiple jobs, people are stressed. They don't have time to like watch my YouTube show and things like that.
Exactly.
So what they're seeing is, when we were here for the second race, I didn't see one Nina Turner commercial on TV. It was all Chantel Brown.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially with how Chantel Brown like positioned her campaign was like, Nina Turner said that Joe Biden is like voting for a piece of shit. Or sorry, I'm not sure if I can swear.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. And I feel like that positioning of just like, it's so easy, especially in a very like blue town like this is, like very like pro Biden town. It's like if you just say like,
and pro Hillary, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you just say like this candidate is like against like the freedom warriors of like the status quo Democrats, it's like you're just never gonna win. Yeah. And I shouldn't say that. I really hope she can win, and I think she can. Like, but it's just about time.
And I feel they know that like Nina's fans are like, we're workers and everything. We can't pay attention. Yeah. We are the ones struggling, the most to even pay attention. So it's hard to get people involved in like local smaller elections like that, because I feel like if more young people did, she would have had a better chance. But I can't really blame them when like things are like hard.
And you look at Cori Bush's elections, she lost in 2018 by a lot. It was her first time running.
Yeah.
Then 2020, she turns around, and I think she lost by almost 30 points in 2018. Then in 2020, she wins by 4 points. So that's like a 30 or so turnaround.
Yeah, that's crazy.
She didn't have like $3 million from AIPAC and all this stuff flooding into St. Louis. So I mean, not that Nina's campaign was perfect, it wasn't, but I do think that people don't realize that like what we think is the winning message, like nationally, doesn't necessarily play on a local level.
Yeah.
Because the first race I think was her best chance to win.
Yeah.
She lost by 4,000 votes. But again, I was here. I saw at least 10 billboards around Cleveland with Nina Turner bowl of shit.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it's like, people are being, it's that on top of like Nia was saying, like, we're all workers, and like how restrictive voting is. Like if you're someone working 2 or 3 jobs and have a family at home to feed, like who Nina is like fighting for. Like that's who like she's fighting for, try to like get them to like have more like equity. But they can't even get out and vote for her because like either don't know or like they just how voting works here in the U.S. Like it's very restrictive, especially in like here in Cleveland, like our public transit, especially to like places like East Cleveland or like anywhere that's like impoverished, like is super poor. So like how are people supposed to get around to like go to a voting center in the first place?
Cleveland does not prioritize public transit because we know that Justin Bibb, our mayor, shut down the main bus line downtown one day to have like a corporate picnic in the middle of downtown.
And wasn't he the progressive?
Yeah.
He was. Who backed Chantel Brown in the end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you guys are in your early 20s, so I don't expect you to have the answers, but how do progressives compete in these more establishment Democrat cities?
I think it is just like grassroots. Like as tough as it is, and I know that's like what we keep hitting and like progressives need to keep hitting in the first place, but it's just like things have to break eventually. You know, like enough people have to get enraged and like wake up to like what's going on like in the local communities. And I think like as things go on, I guess maybe I'm just being like hopeful, but I think as things go on, like more and more people will like come to understand, and like enough grassroots initiatives and like energy will be generated where someone like Nina can win in like a town like Cleveland.
And do you think running as an independent or a third party, anyone has a chance here?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I think it could happen. I guess Nina got so close, and like I can feel Cleveland just continuously getting progressive as like the younger generations like you know we're out here and everything. I think there's a chance.
Yeah.
You know, for a third party candidate.
And last question, as far as the inflation, all these things, do you have any hope that, not to be doomer, but that things will get better? Because gas prices will go down at some point, but there's a permanent inflation. It's called gentrification. I call it economic terrorism. So that has been going on for 20 years. Every prices are going up. They're forcing people out. At some point, they might try to gentrify further right here. Where do you think things are going as far as working people? Are you hopeful with the union movements, the strikes that have been going on? Where do you think things are going?
That's what you just said. That's our best bet. Like with the union movements, we're part of DSA here in Cleveland. We've been doing a lot of work with like the Starbucks Workers United, and they just won unanimously in like 3 stores that we've been supporting. Even though it's like a small step, like I think it's like through things like that where it's like you find some hope through just like unions winning here in Cleveland, especially since these are all like young workers working here. And I think as like more of our generation grows up and becomes like the working age, like I believe like our workplaces and like just our politics come more and more progressive and like just more younger. So I'm hopeful, but like it's definitely a fight.
I think I'm very desperate for things to get better. With like we have a huge white nationalist problem in America. A lot of just like fatal problems that it's hard to see repeated week after week. We just had another like horrendous killing of a black man like in town.
Walker.
So
as the police get more money.
Exactly. I want to be hopeful, and I think the only way I can be hopeful right now is just by doing things that I can do in my community. But I'm mostly just like desperate for things to get better too. But also that just makes me very strong at like being aggressive in my fighting too. because it is becoming desperate.
Yeah.
That's why we need a status coup of the status quo. That's our name. Thank you, Nia, Carson.
Of course.
Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for watching, and make sure to tune in to Status Coup's daily live stream Monday through Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time and Fridays at 4 o'clock Eastern Time.